think something's going on outside.
I think somebody should shut up.
Welcome back to the Out of Touch podcast. I'm Chris, that's Bill, and today we're watching Frankenstein from 1931. So, Bill, what did you think of Frankenstein?
This is probably one of the most famous movies ever. Just for the imagery alone.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's like a weird disclaimer at the beginning of the movie where
I always forget about that.
It's like, this guy comes out, he's like a very well-spoken man and saying, you're going to see images that may horrify you and stuff. And I'm like, man, back in the 30s, people probably crap their pants watching this movie.
Or they were just like, what is this? Giggle, giggle. What is this stupid old man talking about?
I don't know. I want to say they probably their fedoras went up in the air and they're like...
Oh, they were inside. They took their hats off.
Oh, that's true.
They had manners in those days.
They did have manners in those days.
It's not like today where, people are dancing in movie theaters. And I'm not just talking about during concert films.
Yeah. But, yeah, I feel like out of these really old, monster movies, this one kind of is the most famous and kind of maybe my favorite out of these old monster movies.
Well, Frankenstein and its sequel, Bride of Frankenstein, are generally the most well-regarded of these old Universal horror movies.
Yeah.
In fact, Bride of Frankenstein is considered even superior to this. Hell, they make a pretty good double feature because they're both pretty short, and Bride of Frankenstein literally starts where this movie leaves off.
Yeah. It's interesting, There's been many Frankenstein movies. You always have to remember Frankenstein is the guy, not the monster.
That old complaint. It's a cliche at this point.
One thing that I think is kind of weird about this movie, just in general, you always hear the scientist's name is Victor Frankenstein. Not in this movie. He's Henry Frankenstein.
Yeah, in the book, Victor Frankenstein is a friend named Henry. But for this movie, they switched it.
Yeah.
Henry Frankenstein has got a friend named Victor for some reason. I don't know the reasoning.
Yeah. I was kind of like, wait, was he always Henry Frankenstein?
Just in this.
Just in this.
And its sequel.
Okay.
Obviously.
I guess they're Victor is a weird name. Henry is a better name.
Henry sounds nice. Victor sounds like a dick.
Yeah, he sounds like a Marvel villain.
Victor von Frankendoom.
Yeah. But it's funny because so many of what you think of from mad scientists come from this movie, the assistant with the hunchback.
Who's not Igor.
No, it's pronounced Igor.
He is not Igor. His name is Fritz.
Igor doesn't come till the third movie.
Yeah. It's a very, German movie, too. More than I thought. They always refer to the one lady as, Fräulein and stuff. And...
There's Baron von Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's the Burgermeister, Master, whatever.
Man, the Burgermeister. I was just like, what a title. Burgermeister. What does he do?
Makes burgers.
I guess so. Man, that's an alternate universe where instead of Burger King, it's Burgermeister.
That feels like a later day spoof joke that they would throw in.
Yeah.
Not a classy spoof like Young Frankenstein where they wouldn't be so lowbrow.
But yeah, that is pretty funny. Get to see a lot of lederhosen and stuff in this movie. It's quaint village almost. But Henry Frankenstein, he's a scientist.
He's a man obsessed.
Yes.
He has this idea to bring life to that which is dead. After our weird little intro by the guy that played Van Helsing.
Oh, okay.
It's
yeah.
Same actor.
Cool.
Him and Fritz are digging up a freshly dug grave, grabbing a freshly hung body.
Yeah. It's kind of they're trying to make their own, I don't know, creation. It's interesting because, Frankenstein, he is, I guess, some sort of doctor or something like that because he's experimenting on dead bodies. He was kind of, I don't know if he was kicked out of the university, but they were kind of hey, getting a little nuts with all these experiments. What are you trying to do?
Your theories are insane and blasphemous because this is a time when even scientists are like, blasphemy! Kill him!
Yeah, there's some like funny like pseudoscience where like he's like, you know, we just discovered like the ultraviolet spectrum, but I have found the spectrum that brings people to life. And I was just like, okay, movie, that's kind of clever, I guess.
Also lightning.
Yeah, well, it's the light that gives life.
Sure, let's go with that. What I remember, I read the book once a long time ago. The experiment was a lot more vague. There was a lot of talk of alchemy and chemicals and stuff.
Right.
Whereas this, it's all like mad science and testicoils and lightning, electricity, and doing weird stuff like that.
Yeah, you know what's one thing I can respect too in the movie is at least Henry Frankenstein is willing to do some of the dirty work. He's out there with Fritz digging up the body. He makes Fritz climb up the pole and cut off the, you know, hanging body because, you know, of course he's not going up there.
No, but if
Fritz is a horrible mutant man, so, you know, it's just like, if you fall down, nobody's gonna care. If I fall down, I might become you.
my father's a baron,
Yeah.
what would he say? He'd blame you. Not me, he'd blame you.
But he does most of his dirty work, except for like the most important part.
Getting the brain.
Yeah.
Because we have a brain of like a distinguished mind and the abnormal brain of a criminal. So of course Fritz drops the good brain and then grabs the abnormal brain. And he's like, this will be fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't think to say, hey, I fucked up. The only other brain was a bad one, so we might have to try this another time.
Yeah. I wonder too if like, you know, when the university professor, he's kind of like talking about the brains and stuff and it's just like abnormal brain. I'm like, I wonder if that guy was like teaching that really dead like science of like eugenics where they're all like, you know, the little spots on the head and stuff.
Probably.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
And it's just like, you can tell from this brain that this person is inferior and stuff.
Meanwhile, I'm just looking at it like, they both look like squishy sponges to me, man.
Yeah.
Think your science is flawed.
But it is
It's fine. It's fine.
yeah,
They're men of their era.
indeed.
Obviously,
Indeed.
the brain was that of a deranged person anyway. So yeah, of course, the monster would come out freaking mental and feral.
Yeah.
But maybe you can make the argument maybe it wouldn't have mattered what kind of brain it got.
Yeah, because it almost seems like they made the monster like feral on purpose because like they do the experiment, you know, the body gets electrified, you know, it's alive.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
One of the most famous scenes in all of film history, referenced, parodied,
Yeah.
homage to countless times.
Yeah, like everybody's like shocked. He brought a dead body back to life, even though he's like, it's not a dead body because like I made it from a bunch of pieces of other dead bodies. Therefore, it's something new.
He spouts blasphemy that got deleted from the movie for decades.
Oh, in the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
Oh, man.
There's a couple of little moments that got cut for like a long time. Him saying that he knows what it's like to feel like God, the close-up shot of the monster getting an injection,
Oh, okay.
and the little girl getting thrown in the water.
Oh, man. That makes sense. That's kind of like the scariest part of the movie. In some ways, it's kind of like, oh, God, why? We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But, you know, he says, I forgot the name of the other professor guy, but like Henry and this other professor guy are like talking, and he's just like, I've kept him secluded in darkness for 3 days. And I'm like, why? And then he shows him the light, and and I want to call the monster Frankenstein,
It's
but
hard
he's
not
the,
to.
But
It's
he's
hard
the
not to.
monster. And you know, he's looking at the light and he's reaching for it, and then he takes it away, and then the monster goes psycho. And it's like, what do you think is gonna happen?
Like, you should have been nurturing him.
Yeah.
Like,
Should have been like, go into the sunshine.
or just like, hello, I am your father.
Yeah.
My name is Henry. Your name is Frank. Like, you know, he does everything to a point and then just drops the ball immediately.
Yeah.
I also find it kind of funny that like Fritz is completely like, let's do it. And then as soon as the monster comes to life, he's like, kill it with fire, kill it.
He really is like, kill it with fire.
Like, he's horrified at what they've done.
Yeah.
Horrified.
This unholy abomination we've created.
And of course, being that way gets him killed.
Yeah, of course.
The monster somehow manages to hang him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Very complicated murder procedure.
Also, like, it's just kind of weird, like, Fritz's whole situation, because it's like, is Fritz, like, a student at the school, or was he
Nah.
just, like, a janitor that, like, Henry made friends with, and, like, it's like, hey, you want to, like, help me dig up some bodies? And Fritz is like, oh, boy, do I!
I don't know. We don't know
Yeah.
the backstory. Could be any number of things.
Yeah, are they even friends? Is it, like, he's his manservant?
I mean, he didn't really mistreat him, and he was like, "Oh no, Fritz, you died." Like
Yeah.
he wasn't like, "Oh, well, shit. I
Yeah.
can get another one."
Yeah.
Igor, where are you?
Igor is dead.
Yeah, he's obsessed with his experiment. He makes the Monster Man. Then the Monster Man kind of starts killing people. Kills Fritz. Almost kills Henry, I guess, at one point. But
Kills his mentor.
yeah,
Kills that little girl.
yes,
And that little moment that starts out kind of nice, they're throwing flowers, but then they run out of flowers, and he's like, "I'll throw you." Ugh. And I don't know. She either can't swim or hits her head on a rock, but she drowns.
yeah. Yeah, that was like a kind of unexpected part, honestly. I bet in the 30s people are like, oh my god!
That's probably why I was cut for so long.
Like women just like fainting in the movies and stuff. Probably men fainting in the movies, and that's why they're like, no, we can't show that.
Well, I mean, I think some of this stuff must have got cut once the Hays Code became a thing,
Yeah.
because that caused a lot of censorship. And this movie got re-released a lot, so I'm assuming it was cut for the re-releases and then just stayed cut sometime until like maybe the 90s or something.
Wow.
They stayed cut for a long time, but the footage existed perfectly fine, so they weren't like they didn't throw them out or burn them or anything. So it's kind of
Yeah.
amazing. It's very lucky that the original version of the movie remained intact.
Yeah. It is like horrifying because like there's like glimpses of like maybe the monster is not that bad, but then it's just like no, he still like kills people for like no reason, and like the thing with the little girl kind of like you know
It is an accident.
it's
It
an
is.
accident. It's like
It's
he
a
doesn't
terrible, horrible accident.
yeah he doesn't understand anything.
No, because his father left him in the dark for 3 days, and then his father's friend was like, "Kill it! Kill it with fire! Kill it!"
Yeah. For some reason, like, the monster is like immediately scared of fire for some, like, just because.
Instinctive, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I guess traditionally that's like the one thing that can kill the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
Fire and lots of it.
It's funny too, because he doesn't really talk in this movie
No,
at all.
It does not. It talks in the next movie because it doesn't know how yet.
I don't want to say like all like the iconic like grunts of like the monster. Like, it's.
There's that
this
one it
movie is like all the sounds that like people make for like Frankenstein, I
Yes.
think.
Definitely. There's that one very like, "Hey baby" that he does to Frankenstein's fiance.
Oh yeah.
It may as well have been like, "Oh, giggity."
Oh no. Yeah, that's the other aspect. He has like a fiance and like they're about to get married and
Yeah.
everything. It's just like, hey, whatever happened to that monster? Don't worry about it. Today's our wedding
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
fine.
fine.
We'll get him.
Yeah.
It's all good.
His father is just all like I've got this like good wine from like your
Your
grandfather,
your
yeah.
grandmother or whatever. I just want to drink it.
that's all he wants. Just loves that wine.
Yes.
He even says like, don't give it to the servants. Just give them champagne. They wouldn't understand this wine. It's like, I'm sorry. Do you need to understand wine?
Sometimes.
I guess some people are like the complex flavor, and then
I
it's,
certainly don't understand it.
yeah. But then like you give somebody a wine, and then they're all like the complex flavor of this wine is exquisite. It's like thanks. I bought it in this plastic jar.
Oh dear God, it's just labeled wine.
I also added Kool-Aid to it. Just to, zazz it up a little bit. They just like drink it. What kind of Kool-Aid? It's like all the Kool-Aid.
And we got some ice to,
Yeah.
water it down just a
Just
tad.
a little bit. Yeah. But Frankenstein or the monster, infiltrates their like fancy house to, I guess, kill Henry.
Attacks the fiance. She lives in the book. She dies.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I was like, does the fiance die and then he reanimates her and she becomes the bride of Frankenstein?
No.
Okay.
Completely different.
Right.
The bride of Frankenstein is made because the monster is like, I want a mate.
Okay.
Give me a mate.
And then I
I
guess
need to
like
do some
Henry.
loving.
Yeah. And Frankenstein's like, okay, I'm a lunatic. I'll do it.
It kind of happens under duress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monster like kidnaps him, but
The monster becomes even more sympathetic in the second movie,
okay.
especially once it learns to talk.
Friends.
You begin to kind of feel bad, really feel bad for him.
I'll have to watch the second movie again. I haven't seen The Bride of Frankenstein in a very long time, so
I've seen it a few times. It's like I said, it's considered generally superior to this. It does continue the story though. I think the fiance, well, I guess wife at that point, was played by a different actress. The Baron is just gone. I don't know,
Okay.
maybe he's dead. I don't know. But it does start like right after. Like it literally like opens up. It's like, man, that fire at the windmill sure was crazy. Here's the smoking rubble.
man, yeah, that last scene with like the fire and the windmill and like Frankenstein or the monster on top, like trying to shoo the people away, and then he just makes these like horrible screams while getting burned.
I mean, that whole like third act is like, this is like what people think of when they think these old horror movies. You got
Yeah.
the angry villagers with torches and they're running around trying to chase down a monster.
I was very disappointed to not see one pitchfork in that mob.
No, maybe in one of the follow-ups.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like, a torch-wielding mob is good enough, but, like, kind of always think of, like, pitchforks, too, but no pitchforks.
No, they were smart. They had guns
That's true. They did have guns.
and dogs.
Yeah. Guess it, like, kind of, you know, the town is out for blood when the one guy's, like, killed my daughter.
This fiend killed my daughter. Like,
Yeah.
let's get him. If you think about it from the townspeople's perspective, like, the monster attacked Henry, and then Henry was, like, battling him at the top of the thing before he got thrown off. And it's like, Henry Frankenstein, what a hero! They have no idea that he caused everything.
Yeah. He's not the one that created the monster.
He's not indirectly responsible for the death of the little girl and everything.
Oh, man.
It's not all his fault.
Those town people were like, hey, whatever happened to Fritz? He used to do stand-up comedy over at the ye old, like, Burgermeister Hall or whatever.
He moved. He got a job with Dracula.
Man. Dracula. Yeah, all these old I don't know what you would call these like monster stories, like folk tales at this point, or
I mean, technically Frankenstein's literature.
Okay.
Because it's based on a book.
yeah.
It's a literary character, horror icon.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to put it.
They all happen in that like Eastern European side.
Kind of. A lot of them, yeah.
It's like Dracula is like, you know, Romania, and like this is like very clearly like Austria or Germany.
Yes.
I don't know where the Wolfman takes place, but I think it does take place in Germany too.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
Some of those movies, the time period is kind of vague because, like, I swear to you, like, hey, the last movie had cars. How come there's just horse and buggy again? Shut up.
Yeah.
Look, all I know is that all these people somehow make it to the 1950s to chase Abbott and Costello.
Guess so.
There's no faking what time period they're in. They're men of they're in their time.
Yeah.
Except maybe in the Mummy movie. They might have been in the past in that movie.
They're time travelers. The original Time Lords.
Sure, let's go with that.
But, yeah, you know, these old movies, they very much feel of their time, but they still are worth watching. Like, there's so many iconic things that start with this.
The look of the Frankenstein monster is forever associated with this movie.
Yeah.
No matter what, when people hear Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster, whichever, they picture this guy. The flat head, the bolts. It's black and white, but it's green skin or dark green or whatever. Like, kind of like the suit jacket.
Yeah. The,
Everything
like, shoulders and
everything comes from that. The fact that people think of Frankenstein as a stitched up corpse, reanimated, it's all from here. It all starts here. The entire public perception of the Frankenstein monster, just like with Dracula in that old movie, it all comes from this movie. Like, you see all these like other takes on Frankenstein, you're just like, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel right. But then you see this, it's like, yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
They're like trying to make Frankenstein like cool and like the monster is like all like hulky and like has powers and shit.
Yeah, there was that weird Hulk kind of one in the Van Helsing movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen what the Hammer ones really look like. There was a weird one around the time that Bram Stoker's Dracula was made by Francis Ford Coppola. Somebody did a Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I think the monster was played by Robert De Niro.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm assuming if they were hedging closer to the book, that version of the monster talks a lot more, especially once he learns how.
Interesting. Yeah, but Frankenstein, it's an iconic movie, iconic story that has lived on forever. I mean, they're probably going to make another one someday. Universal is threatening us with their monster universe constantly.
I mean, they put out 2 movies with Dracula in it this year. They're bound to make another movie with Frankenstein.
Isn't Guillermo del Toro doing a Frankenstein thing?
I think he finally is.
Yeah, I think he's
that might
doing,
actually be pretty good.
that would be. I'll watch any movie that man makes. So.
I'd be very curious to see what his take on the monster looks like.
Yeah.
I'd be very curious to see what that would look like.
So, I mean, he kind of already did like the creature from the Black Lagoon in a weird way. So
In a weird way, is right.
yeah. So,
What if somebody wanted to bang the creature from the Black Lagoon?
Yeah.
Guillermo, do you want to bang the creature from the Black Lagoon? No. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
What if somebody wanted to?
Yeah.
What would that look like? You should have abs.
Yeah. Well, yeah. New Frankenstein probably coming sooner than we think. Then. And-
There'll always be another one. There'll
Yeah.
always be another one. It's one of those stories.
An iconic story, and this original movie is definitely worth a watch. It's not that long.
Oh no! I mean, you could easily knock this one out and Bride of Frankenstein back to back in it
Yeah.
because they play well together. The third one, Son of Frankenstein, is also pretty good. It's much longer. It's set a little further ahead in time. You know, Victor or Henry, whatever, is dead.
Okay.
Follow up after that, Ghost of Frankenstein was okay. Then they just get all monster mashy with House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula, and then they meet Abbott and Costello.
Man, and then they do Frankenstein Resurrection. Frankenstein H2O.
They never got that bad.
Then they just go to like Frankenstein, and then Frankenstein kills.
The Boris Karloff only played the monster 3 times.
Okay.
He last played it in Son, though he was always nearby. I think he popped up in like 1 or 2 other Frankenstein-related movies, just as like a mad scientist. I think he was in House of Frankenstein as a mad scientist, and there was another one where I think he played a descendant of Dr. Frankenstein. I forget which one what that was called. I've only seen glimpses of it. I've never seen the whole thing.
You serious?
It's funny, you know, you always think like, oh man, like modern movies, all they do is like make sequels, but then you just listen to all these like Frankenstein movies from like the 30s into the 50s, and I'm like, they've just been doing this forever, haven't they?
Yes!
Like,
And this isn't even the first Frankenstein. Freaking Thomas Edison made one.
oh my god.
Yeah, like Edison's film company made like, a short, silent Frankenstein. He looks weird as hell. He's got crazy hair and everything.
Nice.
So, yeah, look. It may seem like, oh, all they do is make sequels and remakes. They've been doing that since the dawn of cinema. When cinema started, they were like, oh, we can make sound now? Let's make some of these movies again, but with sound. Oh, now we can do it with color. Oh, now we got to make a slightly different version because of the Hays Code.
Yep.
Or, you know, this movie was successful. Let's make like 5 more. Nothing's changed. It's all the same.
The cycle continues.
Endlessly. You think the franchise you love got ran into the ground? By the 1950s, Frankenstein was teaming up with comedy legends. I'm just saying, it's only a matter of time before Ghostface is in a movie with
Captain America.
I was going to say with The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Oh man. That would be amazing.
Actually, I would watch.
Yeah, I'd watch that. Wasn't Ghostface almost going to be in a movie with like Jay and Silent Bob at one point?
I think Kevin Smith was pitched like, let's do a Jay and Silent Bob versus Modern Monsters thing.
Okay.
But Kevin Smith was like, no, let's not.
Oh man.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd have watched it.
I would have watched it too. But I guess with that being said, go watch Original Frankenstein, and that's the Out of Touch podcast for this week.
Quite a good scene, isn't it?